Aristotle begins Book 1 in the Nicomachean Ethics by discussing the concept of the good. Every human activity aims at some end that we consider good. The highest ends are ends in themselves, while subordinate ends may only be means to higher ends. Those highest ends, which we pursue for their own sake, must be the supreme good. The study of the good is part of political science because politics concerns itself with securing the highest ends for human life. Politics is not a precise science, since what is best for one person may not be best for another person. Consequently, we can aim at only a rough outline of the good. Everyone agrees that the supreme good is happiness, but people disagree over what constitutes happiness. Common people equate happiness with sensual pleasure. This may be sufficient for animals, but human life has higher ends. Others say that receiving honors is the greatest good, but honors are conferred as a recognition of goodness, so there must be a greater good that these honors reward. Plato's theory of forms suggests that there is a single form of good and that all good things are good in the same way. This theory seems flawed when we consider the diversity of things that we call good and the diversity of ways in which we consider goodness. Even if there was a single unifying form of good, our interest is in the practical question of how to be good, so we should concern ourselves not with this abstract concept, but with the practical ends we can actually pursue in everyday life. Happiness is the highest good because we can choose happiness as an end sufficient in itself. Even intelligence and virtue are not good only in themselves, but good also because they make us happy. We call people good if they perform their function well. For instance, a person who plays the guitar well is a good guitarist. Playing the guitar is the guitarist's function because that is his or her distinctive activity. The distinctive activity of humans generally, what distinguishes us from plants and animals, is our rationality. Therefore, the supreme good should be an activity of the rational soul in accordance with virtue. This definition aligns with popular views of happiness, which see the happy person as virtuous, rational, and active. When talking about happiness, we consider a person's life as a whole, not just brief moments of it. This raises the paradoxical suggestion that a person can be considered happy only after death, that is, once we can examine the person's life as a whole. However, a good person will always behave in a virtuous manner. Even when faced with great misfortune, a good person will bear himself or herself well and will not descend into mean-spiritedness. Once a person has died, according to Aristotle, posthumous honors or dishonors and the behavior of his descendants might affect his happiness somewhat, but to no great extent. We can divide the soul into an irrational and a rational part. The irrational soul has two aspects: the vegetative aspect, which deals with nutrition and growth and has little connection to virtue, and the appetitive aspect, which governs our impulses. The rational part of the soul controls these impulses, so a virtuous person with greater rationality is better able to control his or her impulses. We'll end this summary of the first book with a quotation from the book. Aristotle says, "The good for man is an activity of the soul in accordance with virtue, or if there are more kinds of virtue than one, in accordance with the best and most perfect kind."